Earlier today, Ryan Day had a press conference, the Ohio State head coach, as he normally would be one to do on Tuesday afternoon, and he said a lot of interesting things, a lot of things that kind of coincided with what we expect. And so let's take you back. They suffered, they being Ohio State, a very stinging loss. It was a bad Saturday in Columbus. And it's not necessarily that they lost. Sometimes good teams lose. It's that when you look back on it, they never really felt like they gave themselves a fair chance to win, and that can't be tolerated. And so Sunday, I came on this show, and I said what I think is very obvious. Defensive staff changes are going to have to happen there, and I didn't really mean at the end of the year. Ryan Day, I think, agrees with that. He probably didn't even need to wait and hear me say it, if you want me to be honest with you. But Ryan Day does not appear to be waiting. So today, the normal standard procedure would be Ryan Day meets with the media, assistant coaches meet with the media, and some players. Today it was the head man and the head man alone. Ryan Day met with the media, and he did not mince words. A few of the many quotable takeaways from Ryan Day's press conference today. They asked him about the biggest issue right now facing Ohio State. He said, well, it's a bit of a pattern. We took a long, hard look the last 48 hours at everything that's going on. We're certainly going to make some adjustments, not only in how we are attacking opposing offenses, but also structurally in how we're doing day-to-day operations. They then asked what his response is to the critical breakdowns defensively the other day. He said, well, you want to act, but you don't want to overreact. You have to make sure you do things the right way and let people do their job. But when it gets to a certain point, you have to get things fixed. That's what we're going to do. They also asked him straight up about Kerry Combs, who is the current defensive coordinator there. He said, I'd rather not share those conversations. I bet he wouldn't. He said, but when you look at the results from the past couple of games and look at the end of last year, this is not what we expect. This is not our expectation. That's all part of looking at how we need to move forward with this thing. Lastly, when asked directly if Kerry Combs, defensive coordinator, will be calling plays this week, Ryan Day's response was, I'm not getting into specifics. Allow me to translate. No, he won't. No, because the default there is always, well, yeah, he's my defensive coordinator. So if it's anything other than yes, the answer is probably no. I'll tell you what it translates into. He even used the word disappointed today, but it translates into, it sucks that I can't trust the guys I hired right now. But we also know what else that translates into, and this is a tough pill to swallow for Ryan Day. It means I hired the wrong guys. And there's a thing that's happening right now with Ryan Day that has to happen with every coach. It's called a lesson. You got to learn a lot of them in life, whether you're a mechanic or a head football coach. You're going to learn hard lessons. There is no easy way around it. And there's also no microwave approach. You don't get to speed it up. A lot of people have sped the trajectory of their career advancement up. Like, for instance, Ryan Day or Kirby Smart or Lincoln Riley. These guys are first-time head coaches at some of the most premier programs on the face of the earth. That doesn't mean that just because they got those jobs way earlier than you would have in 1984, that they all of a sudden are immune to having to learn the same lessons that the old school coaches had to learn. The difference is you got to learn it in front of the world at Ohio State, whereas Nick Saban learned his lessons at Toledo or wherever he was, way out of the spotlight, long before he was ever even at Michigan State, much less LSU and Alabama. All the big-time coaches have to learn. And right now, Ryan Day is learning about proper approaches in hiring practice. And he knows he whiffed. He whiffed on Kerry Combs. Kerry Combs is a great guy, and he has a spot on the football staff, not as a defensive coordinator. I think Ryan Day is telling you that right here and right now. But from an operational standpoint, what he means when he's saying that is, I call the offense. This is not a CEO type. On game day, Ryan Day's calling the offense. He can't be wasting a second having to dip into defensive calls and huddles and get on the sideline and try and rectify stuff. He can't be doing that. If he were a guy who was, headset on or off, doesn't really matter, I'm just overseeing things here, that's one thing. I mean, imagine asking your offensive coordinator to get involved with some defensive strategery over here. I don't care if you're the head coach or not. You don't have time to be doing that. But it's imperative, because you can't do that, that you hire folks you can trust and then let them be. Ryan Day hired someone that he cannot trust and let be right now. And that was the realization he's come to, and that's what he's talking about today in this press conference. It's a hard pill to swallow, but that is the biggest, I think, overlooked factor of the new age of coaching hires. The new age for whatever reason, well, the reason's obvious. They're good. But for obvious reasons, athletic directors and administrations, they have chosen to circumvent the old approach of let's find a guy who's cut his teeth and let's go find someone who's been a head coach at a couple of stops. That's not the way they do it anymore, which is fine. I don't think Oklahoma regrets their hiring of Lincoln Riley. I don't think Ohio State regrets anything. I don't think Georgia regrets anything. But you also have to understand, you're going to see some stuff on a very grand scale that you used to not see head coaches learning. They used to learn it way before they were given the opportunity to coach on that grand a stage. So that's what's happening with Ohio State right now. Now, they got some games that are going to be off the national radar. Right now, if nothing were to change with them defensively, I would encourage you, in fact, let me pause that sentence. I would encourage you to go to 247sports.com. Our Blake Brockermeyer put together a really good feature today, and it's broken down in GIF form, which is just a small video clip of plays. And he put 5 or 6 of them in there to show you how fundamental the breakdowns were the other day. That's why I don't even worry about talent. Like, a lot of people are questioning, is that Ohio State defense as talented as the recruiting rankings would indicate? Independent of what your answer is there, that's not a talent issue. You go read that piece and you look at that feature, or if you just watch the game with your own eyes Saturday, those were far more fundamental issues. I don't really care how many stars or you do or do not have on your defense. That wasn't what the problem was for them Saturday. And so now we're going to look at them moving forward. And I'm telling you, if they don't get those kinds of fundamental situations rectified, there are more teams that could hang 30-plus on them. I know they may look inferior on a schedule, but when you got the kind of fundamental problems Ohio State's had defensively, there are a lot of teams out there that have no business scoring on you that'll end up scoring on you. So fingers crossed for our Buckeye fans, we get things rectified up there.